What do you think it's going to be for you guys? What you want now?
I think it'll be. I think we'll be struggling because for the big boats it's pretty light. A lot of 8 to 12 stuff, and we don't have. Our boat isn't ideally suited for that, but we'll make the best of it.
All the best.
Thank you.
It was an interesting briefing this time around, so a bit different to the last couple of times I've done it. It looks like we are going to get that 50 to 60 knot front through and back straight, so it's nothing that we haven't seen as a crew, the boat hasn't seen before. Maybe going upwind might be a little bit more challenging this time than reaching or going downwind on it, but we'll see how we go, and we're fairly confident that we're going to get there, no worries.
And how do you think you'll go in the fleet of clipper boats?
I think we'll. That's always a tough question, match racing it at all. But I think we'll do pretty well in this one. Definitely hoping for a top 3 finish.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Gavin Brady's the helmsman on Karl Kwock's Beau Geste, the 80-foot maxi yacht. Good trip over from New Zealand, Gavin?
Yeah, we had a good trip from New Zealand. It was always part of our build-up. Our boat went in the water a month before the start, so we knew we had to have an intense training session. And we needed to incorporate the 4 or 5 days getting across the Tasman as part of our training. As it turned out, it was huge plus for us because we got the tested watch systems and every other part of the boat. So I think that my lesson out of that, it's a little old school to sail to the start line of these blue water classics, but boy, do you get a lot out of them.
You had the full race crew on board?
We committed to the race crew on board, and operated the boat as we would. This afternoon out there off the New South Wales coast.
Certainly looks a weapon. We've seen it down at Woolwich. Can you give us a bit of background on the boat, the build?
Well, the real issues are ongoing from our last boat. Lessons that we learned from the last boat, Geste. It was also 80 feet long, and in this boat we incorporated a little bit more coastal element. The last boat we did things like the Los Angeles to Tahiti race, transatlantics, and all that, which are longer, 3,000 mile races. So with this boat, it's going to be doing more of the blue water classics like the Rolex Sydney to Hobart and so forth. So we wanted a boat that was a little more VMG orientated, so we could coastal race a little bit more. So that incorporated a lighter hull, not construction wise, probably heavier in that sense, but using dagger boards to make less leeway, and obviously the candy keel element of it. So really the goal of the boat is quite a different concept. It's light, again not construction wise, but it's certainly a boat that wants to get up and go. So I think there'll be moments that she's just going to be, electric, and there's other times she'll feel like an 80-footer. So it'll be very interesting to see if a light displacement boat, how much waterline length can you make up for? Is 20 feet too much? We're going to find out in the next 3 days.
What about the weather forecast? How's that looking for you?
Well, I think the weather forecast for this Rolex in Hobart is similar, to the concept of our boat. I think it's going to be stop-start type sailing, and I think every boat's going to have their day. And if I was a designer designing race yachts in the future, I'd be watching this Rolex in Hobart real closely, because I don't think you're ever going to get a full-scale tank test like this anywhere in the world. So this is probably one of a kind. I don't think anyone's seen an ocean race like this with so many varieties of boats, and yet also so many different conditions. We're going to go upwind, we're going to go downwind, we're going to have light air, we're going to have all sorts of conditions. So, you could not write the script better for probably one of the most interesting races ever.
What's the program for 2014?
Our program for 2014 really depends on what we learn in this race. We haven't really made any commitments what we're going to do next. I think that the team will get to Constitution Dock and figure out what we've got. We're going to take it back to New Zealand, put it back in the shed, and figure out what work needs to be done, if we need to make changes, and then come up with a plan for 2014. But if anything, is there a better event in the world today than the Rolex Sydney to Hobart? When you walk around the dock and see the level of the sailors, level of the boats, and the intensity of this race, it'd be a pretty hard sell not to come back again.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Karl Kwok, the skipper of Beau Geste, the brand new boat in 80. You must be a very proud father today, Karl, for your first major race.
Yeah, sort of apprehensive because this is the first race we've ever done. We'll be doing so a little bit, excited. Not excited, nervous. Put it that way.
Well, she certainly looks like a weapon. So, what's your expectations for the race?
Well, if the boat is designed what it is, if the conditions are right, we could be out front. Not saying that we're going to beat the super maxis and all that, but hopefully we'll be close enough. And If the weather changes in our favor, then maybe we can have a chance. But it's difficult for 80 foot to beat 100 foot. We know that, right?
You had a little bit of a misfortune with your last 80 footer, and this is sort of an expectation, and has some of the last 80 footer on board, haven't you? With some of the gear, etc.
Right.
Are you happy with the build?
Yeah, the build is totally different. There's a more structure in this boat. This is based on the Volvo 70s. Obviously expanded on it, and also have a bigger boat, right, than the Volvo. So it is more a structured boat, more meant for offshore. As Gavin invented the term, we were doing coastal races. We're not offshore anymore. We'll see what happens.
Indeed. And you've got a good crew on board?
Yes, we have a good crew, and then some of them sailed with me before. And we try to get all the people who have experience with the Volvo, because this is similar to that type of boat.
And your navigator, he's a top gun?
Yeah, Steve sailed with us several times. He's a good guy, he's really, really brilliant in his own way. So hopefully he can get us a good weather.
Yeah, he's a good weatherman though, isn't he? Yes. Yeah, we've had a lot to do with him over the years. That's excellent. Well, all the best, Karl.
Thank you very much.
Have a great race.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anthony Bell for Perpetual Loyal. What about the weather forecast for your boat?
Yeah, it's the weather's the weather for everyone. We'd probably like it to be a bit heavier than what they're forecasting, but we're anxious and looking forward to getting to the race now.
Well, this is your first big test for the boat for your ownership. How do you feel about it?
Well, we're excited. We've done an amazing job to get the boat here, to get it in such a good state of rebuild. Teams come together well, so now it's ready to go out there and get on the track.
Well, it's had a checkered career, with the business with Richard Branson and the business of Ireland.
Yep.
What about your rebuild? What did you actually do to it to strengthen it?
Well, we took a lot of the things that we learned from the history of the boat, and we looked more to optimise the boat rather than to completely recondition it. We learned a lot from its history, and we think we've done a pretty good job in annihilating any of those risks going forward.
What sort of crew have you got on board this time?
Mostly pro this time. Given that we had a short runway up and that we got the new big boat into the water, we're taking more pros than ever, and those guys are unbelievable. They're going well.
And it's all go, is it, Anthony?
Yeah, we think so. Like I said, we're looking forward to getting to the race now.
Well, all the best.
Okay, mate. Thanks very much, buddy.
Jim Delegat, the sole New Zealand entrant in the Rolex Sydney Hobart races here with a fairly interesting boat. What are you driving, Jim?
Well, we've picked up a Volvo 70, which was formerly known as Group Armour 4, and we've reconfigured it for IRC. So we've got a very good sail wardrobe, and we've optimised it for offshore. So we're pretty pleased with the conditions that we're looking at for the Hobart now. So I figure it's going to enable us to do a lot of reaching, and we're going to have a lot of running, and then of course we're going to have something on the nose. So, it's a question of where we can put the boat at a particular time so we can be ahead of the front. And I'm figuring that we're going to put in some ludicrous miles. We're going to get up to the high 30s, I'm hoping.
Excellent. And you've got a good crew on board?
Yeah, we've really had to look at our team, and we've got a lot of experience. We've got Chris Dixon, who's well known. We've got Juan Veal from Spain, who is from the Alinghi days. He's very well known as our navigator. And of course we've got a host of Kiwis, and we've got some youth as well. So I think that we're very well positioned as a team. We've spent a bit of time in the last fortnight on the harbour here, and we've come together as a tight-knit group very well. And we're race ready.
You gave one of the big boats a bit of a shake-up the other day, I believe.
We like a fast start. We figure that if we can get ahead of the crowd and then hold our position, that's an advantage to us. And our boat is a quick start boat. It gets up to speed very, very quickly.
The world's on wild oats certainly found out, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I think that sort of put the notice there. But we did notice once we got outside the heads that, and we settled down, the big boats do put the miles on, there's no doubt about that. So ideally, I'd like to see some strong winds. I'd like to see us around the 30. But, with strong winds come big seas, so we really have to, race to finish as well.
We'll have a good race.
Thanks very much. Been great.
Steve Hayles is the navigator on Karl Kwock's Beau Geste. Steve, you're a regular on boats on TV, and we see you all over the place. What have you been doing this year?
I sail with the Ryan team, with Nicholas Enstrom and his team. So we've had a great year with, we got two boats, a 72-footer, which has now been retired. It's gone on to new ownership, but during the year, September, we won the Maxi Worlds in Sardinia, which was our big aim. So we retired that boat in really good shape, and building a new boat for next year. So very exciting part of that team. And then a few other bits like, these other teams. Great to come down here and get involved, get out the northern winter and come down here and enjoy being part of Beau Geste.
Nicholas's new boat, is it a new 72-footer? Or?
Yep. It's so part of the mini maxi class, which is sort of settled on these 72-foot boats, fantastic boats, and we've had the boat for a while, still a fantastic boat, but Nicholas felt it was time to make a small upgrade. So he's put the time and effort in to build a new boat, which is absolutely, hopefully hits the water in March next year, being built in Italy, and we're all excited about getting it afloat and hope that we can lay down a track record like the old boat.
Designer?
Rolex, a design office that we've worked with very closely before, and it's our first boat was from them, the existing 72. So we felt it was a development of that, and we've done a lot of time with them. We've been in the tank and we've been in the tunnel, and we've done a lot of design work. So it really was an exciting project to be involved with, and hopefully it hits the water and it's as quick as we hope.
So where's your first race with that one?
Primavera of next year. So around April time. We hope to be in the water, sail for a few weeks beforehand, training, get the boat set up, and then Primavera will be our first inshore event where we'll come up against some of the other mini maxis, and then a full program through to again the Maxi Worlds in September, being a sort of pinnacle of the goal of the year.
So Key West is the 52's first one next year?
Yep. So Nicholas runs, he's got the two boats and both in very good fleets. So the Super Series and the 52 footers. We kick off in Key West, actually only just a few weeks away now. So the guys have been out there with the boat. That's all kind of ready for a good year, and that fleet's good to be in the States because we're getting some American boats involved. So we're looking forward to some really good racing in Key West, and then in Miami a month later, and then that boat will on a ship back to Europe for the remaining regattas of the 52 Super Series. So we have a great program with that team. As
you say, there's some new boats in the Super Series. Hoodlum, the ex-Team New Zealand boat, is back in the US.
It's great to see all these boats, and actually I'm sailing with Gavin Brady here on Beau Geste. He's got Jim Schwartz has got the old Quantum, which is now Vespa, and that's had a lot of work done on it. So it seems the fleet, they're fantastic boats and always have been, and it seems there's a little revitalisation with some smart owners getting involved and pushing things on, so hopefully we'll see the fleet build. It's fantastic racing and still probably some of the very best boats on the planet.
How does your TP52 stack up? Is it still?
Yeah, it's it's always been a little bit of a struggle for us in that fleet. The team, I didn't sail with the team this year, actually in the 52 circuit, but they were a solid third place, and just a tiny bit of speed at times, I think. But I hear, don't tell anybody, that there may be another boat for the following year, but we'll wait and see. Nicholas certainly, he knows what it takes to win, and maybe seeing how the fleet develops, but we might be into a new boat. But the racing's fantastic and very, very close. The differences are unbelievably small. So when we say we need a bit more speed, we're talking a few metres, up a windward leg. So it's another great fleet to be involved with.
So what about your weather forecasting for this race? Now you've got all the models, I would imagine.
Yeah. I run a sort of business that actually we do a bit of that with my partner, and we farm out a lot of this data now for people to use. So I get access to a lot of good stuff. But it's been a really tough race. Often you look at the different sources. People in Europe make models, and people down here. And for the last week, it's been all over the place. Sometimes the two different weather models, or three or four, they just don't agree on the outcome, and that's been the case. So we've had a lot of uncertainty leading up to this race. It's sort of come together a little bit this morning. But we're only 5 or 6 hours to the start now, and I think the picture's relatively clear. The very fine details still to be resolved, but looks like a good forecast for the big boats. Are going to have a nice trip. It's very much about the size of your boat here. I think the 40-footers have got a very, very, very tough race ahead of them. Once there's a change comes through near Tasmania for those guys, and they'll see a lot of big breeze, big seas, and it's going to be a tough upward slog for them. For us, hopefully, we'll be in Hobart by then.
Beau Geste she looks like a very strong boat.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to find out today. We did the trip across the Tasman, 4.5 days, and at times the boat was blisteringly quick based on looking at the numbers and trying to work out what's happening. But you don't really know until you get in the ocean. You line up with this fleet. This year there's so many competitive 100-footers, and we are only 80 feet, but I'd say we're an impressively quick 80-footer, and I think our aim is to just make their lives as difficult as possible, and you know, at times you can't match a 100-footer with an 80-footer, but in certain conditions I think we will. Yeah, it looks like a fantastic boat. Great fun to sail, and you know, we're all very fired up and excited about what we may be able to pull off in this race.
What about the Volvo 70s? Are they in your radar too?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, to some degree we're closer to them, you know, looking over our shoulders at them, the gap's smaller than potentially it is to the 100s. In certain conditions, the 70s will actually be quicker than us. They're more configured for the very, very long distance ocean sailing. So it means in the very fresh conditions, you know, really windy reaching, they probably have the edge, physically have the edge in speed. But this, you know, for a big boat, this race is almost a coastal race. I mean, it's a long way and it's a difficult race, 600 miles, but we sort of treat it as a coastal race. And, you know, we think our boat's probably a little more suited, but yeah, they'll be right there with us, no question.
The trip over from New Zealand, there's no problems?
No, the boat performed admirably. I mean, it's a brand new boat, only been afloat for a few weeks, and you know, they have a lot of engineering systems. We have a canting keel. You know, it's always big rams and lots of weight and power, and we have a powered winch system. So all that engineering is critical, and you know, it's well understood now. It appears to me. I remember back 6-7 years ago when it was all sort of coming into the sailing world. There was a little unreliability at times, but it seems amazingly robust. We had almost no issues at all on the way across here, bar a couple of small rigging ones.
What about the canards? They seem fairly interesting.
Yep, I mean, it all works fine. I mean, you know, they all go up and down. We just got to work out when to pull them up and down. A bit like, you know, some of these other boats now. The appendages in some of these boats now, the bits that stick out the side. And, you know, I heard one of the boats, the Wild Oats, now is referred to as the Swiss Army knife. There's so many bits poke out of it at different times. So, you know, they've got to work that out the same as we have. So for us, this is, you know, obviously Karl's committed a huge amount of time and resources to this, and we're taking it very seriously. But there's a longer term view, I think, for the program. You know, the boat's got a lot more potential beyond whatever we achieve in the next 2 days.
Good luck.
Thank you.